So let's allow our toes to come underneath our feet to come underneath our hips and our toes to point forwards. And we'll allow the eyes to close if you feel comfortable enough to close the eyes there. Allow ourselves to breathe nice and gently. Breathe nice and gently. Let's start to zone in on how the body's feeling today. You might feel as though you might have woken up with some tight spots, some little niggly spots. So just using this time to breathe into those areas and let them release. Seeing if the breath can just take away the tension. To allow yourself to zone in on your posture. So we'll allow ourselves to think about lengthening nice and tall. Feeling that sense of being level across the right side and the left side of the body. Noticing if there are any parts of the body that have got muscle that's particularly tense at the moment. The body that might need a little switch on. Now our weight to gently track over the front of our feet. And then gently tracking into the back of the feet. Through those two extremes. And that place where our weight's right in the centre of the 2 feet. Taking a moment to gently draw up through the arches of the feet. Knees. Awareness into our pelvis. Let's allow ourselves to gently tip the pelvis forwards. And we'll gently tip the pelvis back. And we'll take it through those two extremes, tipping gently forwards and gently back. That place where our pelvis is nice and level, so we're not tipping out the front, not tipping out the back, and we've got that sense of the tailbone descending down. Lovely. Let's allow ourselves to lengthen really nice and tall from there. Head floats up towards the space above us. We'll allow the shoulders to lift, and we'll roll the shoulders back and down. And again, shoulders gently lift. Rolling the shoulders back and down. Just taking 2 more like that. Shoulders ease towards one another and sink down towards the tailbone, making a nice soft V shape for the shoulders. And as the shoulders start to glide down towards that tailbone, we'll just draw the tailbone and the pubic bone together, finding a sense of connection into the pelvic floor muscles. And as we do that, we'll just connect into the belly, feeling a sense of really drawing in through the tummy. For me there, let's allow the right arm to float forwards and up. And we'll breathe in as the arm floats back down. Allow the opposite arm to float forwards and up. And again, so the arms change over. One arm floats up as the other one's floating down. Enough there, and allowing both the arms to come back by our sides. Let's take a breath and allow the right ear to dip down towards the right shoulder. Lovely. Take a deep breath, let the head lift up and over to the opposite side. Gently lifts up and over to the right side. Head lifts up and over to the second side. The head into the centre and allow the head to gently rotate round. Back into the centre and rotating the head round to the opposite side. Once again on each side. The head back to the centre. Let's allow the chin to tuck towards the chest. We'll let the head become heavy and we'll start to gently roll down through the spine, coming down through the vertebrae bit by bit, piece by piece. Nice deep breath at the bottom and then breathing out as we roll up through the spine. Top, let's lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, and let's allow both arms to float forwards and up. And we'll breathe in as the arms float back down. Lovely. And again, rolling gently down through the spine. Breath at the bottom, rolling up through the spine. As we come to the top, the shoulders lift and roll back and down. We'll allow the arms to float forwards and up. Lovely. Floating the arms down for me there, and then just keeping the shoulders gliding down the back. We'll allow the right arm to open out to the side. Shoulder glides down and softening the arm back again. Gorgeous. Good. And then opening the other arm. Lovely. Breathing in as we float back down. Let's roll down through the spine. We'll add that to our little phrase. So we're allowing ourselves to find that nice sense of movement through the spine. And we've got that nice sense, bit of arm work going on. Just roll the shoulders back and down. Both arms float forwards and up. We can get that little bit more movement through the shoulder each time. Take a breath and the arm opens out to the side. Notice where your arm gets to before the shoulder starts to lift towards the ear. Beautiful. Once again, rolling down through the spine. Roll the shoulders back and down, allowing both arms to float forwards and up. We breathe in as the arms float back down. Now from here, just take a little bend of the knees for me. See if you can do it without hinging forwards through the torso. See if you can keep the tailbone descending down. Lovely. Lengthening the legs. Right arm opens out to the side. And breathing in as we float back down. That looks lovely, guys. And opening out to the second side. Wonderful. Good. We're going to add our side bend in, so we can either do that with the arm or you can leave the arm by your side. So we'll lengthen up and then we'll keep extending over. And coming through the centre, up and over to the opposite side. So the opposite arm lifts and comes up and away. Breathing in as we come back to the centre. And then once again, rolling down through the spine. Keep that going for me. Roll the shoulders back and down. Let both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down, and as you take that little bend of the knees, just notice whether you can allow the hips to stay nice and still. If you want to take the arms wide as well, that's gorgeous. Notice that it might make you want to tip forwards even more. Let the arm open out to the side. We're going to take that side bend, so if you'd rather keep the arm by your side, float it back down before you take your side bend. And coming through the centre, changing over to the other side. Lovely, lifting up and over. Coming through the centre, let's draw the fingertips in towards one another, and then we'll take a little spine rotation here. Let's allow ourselves to just take a moment to imagine we're a puppet on a string. So I've noticed recently that more and more my chin starts to come forwards on this exercise, as if my chin's trying to come towards my hands. So let's see if we can imagine ourselves more like a puppet on a string, being lengthened upwards as we find that rotation. Coming into our roll down, let's release through the top of the head, rolling gently down through the spine. Really heavy when you get to the bottom of that roll down, so you're not holding anything in the neck. And then we'll roll back up, head comes on top. Let's lift the shoulders, roll them back and down. As we float the arms up, let's take a little bit of work through those arms. So the shoulders are gliding down the back. Let's see where they come to. Now, pull the elbows wide for me. See if you can take them down to about shoulder level. And then we'll reach the arms up once again. So you've got the elbows going nice and wide. Once the arms are over the head, we've really got to think core stabilizers. Lovely. Let's take two more and really think about those shoulders gliding down the back, making that soft V shape. Shoulders working down the back. Lovely. And just one more there. Pulling the elbows back. Let's cut the space with our thumbs. Elbows into the rib cage, arms gently open out to the side, taking 3, 1, and then allow those arms to float down by our sides, and we'll take our arm lift and into our side extension, up and over to the side. Through the centre, up and over to the other side. To the centre, we'll draw the fingertips in towards one another, take that spine twist, draw in the top of the head up towards the space above you. Let's find that stillness in the hips. Two from here, we can change the arm line, come back to that arm line that we found just now, elbows can go wide. From there you can lengthen the fingertips if you're not going to bash any furniture or maybe someone that's living in your house with you. So notice that once the arms are wide, it makes it much harder to keep the hips nice and still. And release in there. Let's give it a little shake out. So we'll take that opening across the diagonal of the body. Let's start with the right hand and allow that right hand to come across our waist. We'll give it a little bend through the knee and then we'll open out across the diagonal of the body. Let's take two more like that. Coming across as if you're opening out, holding your sword up high. Just one more. As you do that, we're going to allow the left arm to come over to that shoulder. Left arm is going to, thumb comes forwards, we're going to open out onto the diagonal. And the arm comes in. And the thumb slices across. My arm at the top is starting to get tired as well, by the way. So we'll come across. And then this time, we're going to curl both in. Curl in. And open on the diagonal. Oh, it was worth the wait. In and across. Just one more. Just give it a little shake out because you know we've got to do that on the other side. So we've got our left hand, it's going to come across our waist and we take the thumb across us. So we lead with the thumb. Come across as if you're clicking your seatbelt in place, and then you open your seatbelt out. One more. And then we'll keep that arm high as we bring the right arm up to our shoulder. And then with the thumb leading the way, cut the space with the thumb, coming across us, opening out across the chest. And again, come on in, cutting across on the diagonal. Lovely, one more. Cutting across the space. And from there, draw the arms in and opening out across the body. Yeah, lovely. Come on in and cut across the space. Last one. Give it as much energy as you can and open across the chest. Lovely. And release in there. Give it a good release out. Nice work, guys. So we'll take a little bit of balance work there. Let's start by taking a little rise. So we'll allow ourselves to bring the heels away from the floor, and we'll just push a little into our big toe. And we'll float the heels back down. And again, heels lift, we push into the big toe and soften back down. Good, taking that 2 more times. Let's just add a little squat into that. So again, we're going to see if we can keep our weight into the heel this time, and we're going to sink backwards, sinking back with a squeeze in the tummy, and then we're coming through the centre, push into the big toe and take the rise. Oh, I demonstrated exactly what not to do then. So let's sink on back, sinking into the pelvis, bend into the knees, squeeze in through the tummy, and there is a squeeze in the bottom. Push into the big toe so that we can keep the alignment of our ankles. Yeah. More there, sinking low. As we take that rise, we're pushing into the big toe. We'll bring our weight back into both feet, and then we'll think about allowing the right foot to lift gently away from the floor. That's it, lovely. And then we float that foot back down and change over to the other side. Good. So each time we're changing sides, we've got the leg lifting and floating down. Let's add some arms in if you fancy them. We'll lift the arms up. The arms to float down by our sides as we float the leg down. And again, the arms float up, shoulders glide down the back. Nice strength through the core as the leg floats down, the arms can float back down. Once again on each side. Now, this time, can we keep the knee up there and just pull those elbows down as we did before with that shoulders gliding down. Good. And then float the foot down from there. Lovely. Let's do that on the other side. So we lift on up. And then the elbows pull back, shoulders glide back down, and then we'll float the foot down as we float the arms down. I'm adding on, we're lifting. We're going to allow the elbow to pull down. Now cut the space and bring the arm in. You're going to open out through the knee as you open out through the arm. Coming back and floating back down. Change to the other side. We lift, shoulders glide down the back. Lovely. And bend the elbow. Elbows nice and wide. Cut the space. Knee opens out. Leg in and releasing. I get the sense that you're all laughing at me now. Let's allow ourselves to have a little shake out there. Taking a deep breath, let's roll down through the spine and we'll bring ourselves onto hands and knees. So we'll release through the top of the head, allowing ourselves to roll gently down through the spine. the hands underneath us. Let's allow those hands to come underneath the shoulders and the knees to come underneath the hips. Lovely. And when we get there, we'll take those little cat stretches. So we're going to allow the back to push up into the sky, let the head drop between the arms. And then we'll let the head and the tail lengthen away from one another. As we do, the shoulders are going to glide down the back. And then again, we push the back up into the sky, tailbone points down. And we lengthen the head and the tail away from one another, shoulders glide down the back. Keep that going for me. So I was really just dissecting this with someone yesterday and talking about how, for me, when we come into this extension of it, we want to make sure that we're really not putting any pressure on the lower back, but we're getting more movement through the upper back. So as we push the middle of the back up, this should feel really lovely and you feel like a humpback bridge. As you come out of it, let's just take a moment to extend into this stretch. Shoulders glide down the back, and we see if the breastbone can just push forwards, almost as if you're trying to get your breastbone to push through your the arms. Just do me one more like that, and you're making sure your neck stays in a really nice alignment. Neck isn't knocking back, it's not cutting backwards, but staying in a really good alignment. Now let's come to that sort of tabletop position, and we've got neutral spine, tailbone lengthening away, and we're letting that extension, that length come all the way through the neck, so the neck's in line also. Take a deep breath. We're going to let the shoulders glide down the back. Let's allow the right arm to float forwards out in front of us. Breathe in as the arm returns. Changing over to the opposite side. Opposite arm extends out and away. Breathe in as the arm comes back in. So this time, as you extend your right arm away, you can allow the left leg to stretch out and away also. Breathe in as the arm and the leg return. Changing over to the other side. Keep that going for me. Each side, one more on each side. Lovely. Good. Finished off there, just allow the knees to go a little bit wider, and we'll just sit back into a child's pose, and we'll release the arms. Take a moment to really reach the arms as far away from you as you can. So you're going to reach the arms really far away, spread the fingers really wide, and then as we come forwards, we're just going to bring those knees back hip distance apart, and we're going to bring ourselves all the way over our hands. So when we get there, we're in a modified plank position. So we've got a long line now from the knees to the hips to the shoulders. We're no longer in that kind of tabletop, but we're in more of a diagonal. Now, let's have a little explore of this upper body. Mine tends to droop, so I'm going to get my shoulders gliding down. I'm going to pull the breastbone up and see if I can get a sense of length through the neck. My tummy's working really hard for me there. Let's take a nice deep breath. As we breathe out, let's see if we can allow the toes to tuck under and the knees to lift. So we're squeezing in through the tummy, push the heels away. Taking 2 breaths there. And if you're thinking, whoa, this is horrible, my back feels awful, lower the knees back again and release. So we're only doing the knees lifted option if it doesn't put strain on your back. Let's do that once more. Heels, lowering the knees, And sit back onto your heels, lengthen the arms, rest those wrists. And I realise I've done lots on your wrists now, so we'll move on and give them a little break. To come onto our tummies. Elbows to go wide. We'll allow the fingers to point forwards. Good. Now, once you're here, I want you to take a moment to really allow yourself to relax down into the floor. So, see if you can take a moment, maybe just let the pelvis rock from side to side so that you get a sense that the pelvis can really just relax down into the ground. You don't need to do any gripping or pulling there. And with the pelvis in place, we're going to just look to find a neutral alignment. So we want the tailbone to be stretching away from us towards the heel, and a sense that we're drawing gently up through the tummy. Now, we've got that wide position with the arms, and we might explore another position as well. Let's allow the nose to be hovering just an inch away from the floor, which for some of us will feel like a real chin nod, and that's good. Now, imagine that you're laying your arms on a thin layer of ice. So I don't want you to press down into your arms. I want you to just let them lay there gently. You've got a connection in the tummy, and you've got the arms resting very gently on the floor. There are layers to this exercise, and I'm going to talk you through them. If you know you've got upper back issues, or if you've got lower back issues, I want you to listen into all the layers and choose the one that's right for you. So the first level here will be lifting the shoulders towards the ears, and then seeing if you can get those shoulders to really glide down the back as if you're trying to put your shoulder blades in the back pocket of your trousers. And we lift, and then the shoulders glide down the back. So keep that going for me. Keep that little connection through the tummy. Shoulders glide down the back. And then we'll see if we can start to lift the breastbone just a little away from the floor. And we breathe in as we float back down. Shoulders glide down the back. Head extends out and away and the breastbone gently lifts. Breathe in as we float back down. And again, shoulders glide down the back. Head extends out and away. We lift up through the breastbone. So we can keep that going. If you want to, you can change the arm position and let the arms rest down by your side. So the backs of the hands can rest onto the floor. Allow the arms to just lift a little and shoulders glide down the back. As they do, as you pull the shoulders together, let the palms rotate so the palms face the floor and the fingers stretch towards the toes. And then we float back down. Again, we lift the breastbone, little fingertips glide down towards the tailbone. We breathe in as we float back down. 2 more like that. Release in there. Bring the hands in front of you and rest your forehead on your hands. Take a breath there to let go of any tension you're holding in the back, maybe through the rib cage. And then once again we'll connect in through the belly button. Drawing the belly button up, we'll take a deep breath, and as we breathe out, we're going to stretch and extend the right leg away from us. And we'll breathe in as the leg returns. And then we'll stretch and extend the opposite leg away. Breath in as the leg returns. Good. Let's keep that going. Stretch and extend and away. Breathe in as the leg returns. You can do the same thing with the opposite arm. So opposite arm to leg stretches away. Breathe in as the arm and the leg return. Changing over, opposite arm to leg extends away. Breath in as you float back down. Once again on each side. Those shoulders really stabilising down the back, rib cage nice and soft, and there'll be a little lift through the breastbone as you do that. Lovely. There, and we'll come onto our side, ready to take those side leg kicks. Just allow the bottom leg to stay resting on the floor to start off with. Take a breath and we'll allow the top leg to stretch away from us. So we'll take a deep breath, top leg is lengthening away. You've got that nice sense of connection through the tummy. Let's float the leg forwards. So glide the leg forwards and then draw the leg back. Now as you do that, I want you to keep the hips really nice and still. So the leg just floats as far forwards as it can whilst keeping your hips nice and still. And you will get to a point where the hip will want to tip forwards. You'll want to, you'll feel as though you're going to fall forwards. That's the point where you found your challenge. And then you draw back. Good. One more. There, let's see if we can lift the bottom leg. And we'll do just 3 with both legs lifted. So the top leg glides forwards. And then we draw that leg back. This time, see if you can take it a teeny weeny bit behind you. So the top leg is moving back of the body. A little squeeze in through the bottom. And again, floating forwards. So notice this cheeky top shoulder. Just check that it's not rocking back and forwards. Back. Back together, take a deep breath, let the top arm lift up and over the head. And then breathing in as the arm floats back by our side, we keep the fingertips reaching, shoulders glide down the back. Up and over. And floating that arm back down. Just one more. Even further than you already are. Lovely. Yep, that's it. Great. Floating the legs down, softening through the knees. I have watched a bit of the internet this week and I've seen a new combination of this leg exercise. So we're squeezing in through the tummy, we'll tip the top hip forwards. So we're going to take 4 little lifts with the knee lifting, just as we normally do. 3. Lovely, we've got that squeeze in through the tummy. And 2. Lovely. Knees glued together and we allow the foot to lift. So the top foot lifts and lowers. Good. So the knee glues in and you lift the top toe. That's it, great. Good. So it's important that you're only doing 1 just for this combination that's coming up in a minute. I don't know whether we'll like it, we'll see. So this time, stay with me. You're going to lift the top knee. Then you're going to tip the leg up and put the knee down to find that position that you were in earlier. Yeah, and then we'll float down. So the knee lifts, it kind of lifts up and over to find that leg position. And floating down. 2 more, we lift up and over, and down. Last one, knee lifts, up and over, and floating down. Lovely. Taking hold of that top shin or the ankle or somewhere around by there, and then let's bring the foot in close to the bottom. We're going to see if we can sweep the knee back so the knee is pointing down towards the or towards the wall. Or hopefully it's a wall. In their classes outside today, this week, should I say, so I can't really just stretch the knee down towards the wall, can I? That's it, guys, well done. And release in there. If you want to grab a cushion and just pop it underneath your head, now's a good time to do that. And we'll do that opening up like a book. A little bit of a few people that have had neck issues going on this week. So if you find that this action with the arm open is too strong for you, just bend the elbow in, and then hopefully it won't be as large. The lever's not as heavy, so it won't be quite as much on the body, but we'll still get that sense of the range of movement. So just taking 3, opening up like a book there. Eyes are fixed on the top hand as we gently open. Some of us will find that we can open all the way up so that our arm's on the floor behind us and we're still looking at that arm as we go. So we want to keep the neck in the alignment as an integral part of the movement. Some of us, the arm will go up for the sky, and that's all good as well. So it's just where it is for your body. Also, it's always worth remembering that your body doesn't necessarily do the same thing this week as it did last week. So just have a little listen in and make sure that you're not just taking it to your normal range of movement. Bringing yourself up to a seated position. Now, let's take the legs wide. I know that doesn't work for everyone, in which case you might want to take the diamond position. You might want to find a cushion and have a little sit on the cushion. So for those of us that find in the seated position we get pulled backwards, a cushion seems to make quite a bit of difference, and the bigger the cushion, the more of a difference it makes. So we're lifting nice and tall there. Let's allow those shoulders to lift, and we'll roll the shoulders back and down. And lifting. So a few people that I've been doing one-to-one with this week find this particularly difficult, and I've also suggested leaning up against a wall and just practicing sitting like this, you know, giving it time to sort of ease into itself. Taking a nice deep breath there. As we breathe out, so the right hand's going to come by the hip, the left arm's going to lift up, we come up and over. Lovely, good. Coming through the centre, the hand comes onto the hip, we let the right arm reach up and over. There. Bringing those feet in towards one another, let's allow our knees to find that diamond position. Seeing if we can draw the feet in towards us, let the knees go wide. I tend to hold on to my ankles, but that's because I've got my old dance teacher in the back of my head saying you must never hold on to your feet. However, yoga people do hold their feet and pull their feet open, so I think it's quite healthy to do that. We lift nice and tall, let the shoulders glide down the back, and we'll just allow the breastbone to gently push forwards as we allow the shoulders to glide deeper down. Some of us will be feeling a lot in the inner thigh. Marvellous. Some of us will feel more in the lower back. If you're feeling it lower back, you might want to lift back up and away and just let those shoulders glide down. We lift up through the breastbone. So we're not really looking to get much going on lower back. We really want to find this inner thigh. Let's allow ourselves to come to the end of the mat. So you've got some room behind you to move. And we'll take our capital C exercise. So we're lengthening really nice and tall here, and we've got a nice squeeze in through the tummy. Take a deep breath, and we're going to tip the tailbone under and curve into the lower back. And then we're going to allow ourselves to lengthen really nice and tall. Or curl under. Beautiful. So let's have a little think about what our goal is with this exercise. We're firstly looking to get as much mobility into this lower spine as we can. So we want to make it quite small. If we find that, you know, that's hard to achieve, those of us that have a really big arch in our lower back, you've got to go a long way to get an arch going that way if you're normally pushed forwards. So, you know, don't beat yourself up if you're not going miles and miles down to the ground. And then we'll think about how it's affecting our core muscles. So we're going to work to that place just before the tummy pops upwards or it starts to shudder. So it's starting to really get some good muscular work going on. Letting the arms float forwards when you've found that challenge point. If your hip flexors start to scream at you, by all means let the knees go a little bit to the side. To reach all the way up for the sky, and then bringing the arms back down, and we'll tip the tailbone under and curving into the lower back. As we lift up nice and tall, we'll allow the arms to open out to the side, soften through the rib cage, and bring the arms forwards, tipping the tailbone under. Wide for me, and floating the arms forwards as we come on down. Nice work, guys, well done. Let's allow this one to be our last one, because I'm sensing a little bit of thigh action going on now and a little bit of I've had enough. Come on all the way down. Oh, when you get there, just release into the floor. Nice. Yeah, good. Quite comfortable once we come onto the floor. Some of us not so much, in which case you need to sort of give yourself some extra padding underneath you. Some of us find that through tightness in the neck or tightness through the rib cage, the chin juts upwards. So in that case, I would recommend putting a cushion underneath your head, and it'll help you get that nice alignment through the neck. But for many of us, that's not necessary. Let's just take a few deep breaths when we're there, releasing the breastbone, allowing the shoulders to just melt down into the ground. And we'll let the arms rest down by our sides. Let's bring the feet onto the floor. We'll allow the knees to bend. And then we'll just tip the pelvis forwards and back. And then find that place where it feels as though hip bone and pubic bone come to level. Take a deep breath for me there. And as you breathe out, glide the right leg away from you, keeping the hips nice and still. Breathe in as that leg returns. And then breathing out as we stretch the opposite leg away. Breath in as the leg returns. Going, as you stretch the right leg away, let's see about lengthening the left arm up and over the head. Breathing in as the arm and the leg return. Now, as you start to work into the arms, just take a moment to register the shoulders sinking down into the ground and start to let your rib cage soften towards your pelvis. Lovely. Yeah, that's beautiful. Well done, guys. We can add in our little knee opener here. So let's allow the arm to lengthen up and over the head. As the arm comes back in, let both arms reach up for the sky, shoulders glide down. The same knee that's just been drawing in is going to open out to the side. We breathe in as we draw that leg back in, and we'll float the arms back down. If you're feeling ready for an abdominal curl up, by all means add that in. Opposite arm to leg extends away. Arm and leg draw in, and then that knee opens out to the side. If you want to do this in your two-legged 100 position, you're more than welcome to. I'll through the two-legged 100 position in a minute, but if you know where you're at with the two-legged 100 position, go for this exactly the same thing, but with both legs lifted and an imprinted spine. Otherwise, we're in neutral spine here. On your second side, just have a little look at our two-legged 100 position. So let's allow the right knee to lift, to hover above the hip socket, bringing the calf to a 90-degree angle. Good. From there, we're just going to push the lower back into the floor, and we can squeeze really tight through the tummy and allow the second leg to lift. So once the second leg is lifted, I want you to listen into your body. So connect into your body and make sure for me you're not straining your back. If this is creating strain in the back, I'm going to suggest that something isn't happy. So we can do a few things if that's the case. We can draw those knees in closer towards us, which I think will push the lower back further into the floor, hence giving you a little bit more support there. Or we can work with one leg lifted instead of two, in which case switch yourself back into neutral spine for me. Take a nice deep breath. If you're working with the two legs lifted, and just allow those knees to hover above the hip socket and find the challenge place. Nice deep breath. Now if you're working with one leg lifted for me, I'd like you to do 4 knee circles on one side and then 4 knee circles on the other side. Those of us that are in this two-legged position, we're going to allow ourselves to bring the toes together and let the knees open out to the side. So we're taking a knee opening and then we draw the legs back in, just as we were doing with the foot on the floor, but with both legs going at the same time. Knee opens and we draw the legs back in. So we're getting loads of inner thigh work. Nice and deep with the breath. One-legged version to work out when you've finished on both the right side and the left side, and we're all ready to move on together. Beautiful. I think we're there. Hold in that for me, guys. Take a deep breath. Those of you that are working with one leg lifted, allow the right leg to be lifted for me. Allow both the arms to lengthen up towards the sky, and we'll let the shoulders melt down into the ground. Take a deep breath for me, and as you breathe out, allow the arms to gently circle. So we're going to draw little circles on the ceiling, shoulders sinking down into the ground. If you're working in the garden, you're drawing circles in the sky. Shoulders are sinking down, rib cage is nice and soft. So some of us have got 2 legs lifted, some of us have got 1 leg lifted. If you're working with 1 leg lifted, we'll change over to the other leg now. Nice and deep with the breath. If you're working with 2 legs lifted, can I just see if I can get you to challenge yourself a little bit further by just moving your knees an inch further away from your torso. Let's not drop the feet, let's keep them in line with the knees. Off there, float those arms down by your side. If you're working with 1 leg lifted, change over to the right leg now. If you've got 2 legs lifted, take a breath. We're going to stretch the right leg away from us. All of us are going to stretch the leg away from us as if we're trying to press a button just beyond us. Breathe in as the leg returns, changing over to the second side. If you're working with 1 leg lifted, do 4 on that side and then change to the other side. for me nice and deep with the breath. Bring both the knees in and give them a good hug. Releasing into the lower back there. So I'm well aware we've only done our side leg work on one side so far. So we're going to have a little stretch into the hip flexor and then we'll do the other side. If you want to though, give a little rock and roll in this position, a little circular rock. I just think it feels just lovely. Here we'll allow ourselves to hold onto the left leg, allow the right foot to rest down onto the floor. That's it, give it a good hug in on that left side, see if you can bring the knee in nice and tight, and then we'll slide the right leg away from us, allowing that hip to really release there. We did a lot of work there with the 100 position, which can put quite a little bit of work into the hip flexors. Draw that knee in and we'll change over to the other side. Allow the leg to release down and glide that leg away from you. Yeah, seeing if we can ease that leg all the way down to the floor. So you might find it bends at the knee a little bit, and see if over time you can encourage that leg to fully lengthen. So you've got a real nice release and length. Good, lovely. Yeah. And releasing there. Let's come on to our other side. I know it was a long time ago. Normally I try to switch us from side to side quite quickly in case we forget which side we'd started on. So hopefully we've not forgotten which side we worked on earlier. So lining ourselves up so that our hips are directly stacked on top of one another and our shoulders are stacked on top of one another. And the head rests down. Let's allow the top leg to stretch away from us. So for this first bit, we're just going to allow the top leg to stretch away. And I want you to really feel the side of your body pulling and extending away, so you're really long. Top leg moves forwards. Breathe in as we draw that leg back in. Nice and strong through the core. And we lengthen that leg forwards. And we draw the leg back in. Notice if this shoulder takes a little forwards and back action. We want to see if we can keep it really nice and stable. There, and see if you can bring the bottom leg up also, so you've got both those legs reaching and lengthening. You don't want to be scrunching into this waist, so both legs reach and lengthen. Top leg lengthens forwards. This time, if you feel you can do, we add that little move backwards, squidge backwards. Good. Now if the bottom leg's still resting on the floor, that's fine. If occasionally, like I just did, you need to just bring your hand down to steady yourself, that's fine. We might be able to bring the arm by our side and let it be there, and that's a marvellous thing. Let's check this top shoulder. A, it's not rocking forwards and backwards, and B, it's not gliding up towards the ear. We want to create less tension around the shoulder. Good, hold it for me there, take that breath, let the top arm lift up and over the head. So again, you've got that sense the shoulders really gliding down the back here. I want you to think about the shoulder stabilising down. Lovely, once again. Drawing back and down. Just for a moment, take a moment to think about lengthening the legs further away from you. Once I start thinking about the arms, sometimes I start to sort of scrunch through my waist to stabilise. See if you can still go for length, really long, long body. Last one. Floating those legs down, soften in through the knees. Well done. Woo. top knee tips forwards, we squeeze in through the tummy, top knee gently lifts and lowers. And you've got that squeeze in the tummy, you lift and lower. Glue those knees together, let the top toe lift and lower. Keep the bottom foot on the floor for me for now. That's it, lovely. So it's just the top foot that's lifting. And then we're going to combine those two. So we lift the top knee and then we switch it over to the toe lift. And then we come back down. So the knee lifts up. Now we take a little switch. Top knee tips towards the bottom knee and the top foot lifts, floating down. Two more like that. We lift and flip on over. And come on down. Yes, good. Last one. Knee lifts. And by flipping the toe up. Yeah, lovely. And releasing there. Grab hold of that shin, maybe around the ankle, around the front of the foot. We'll sweep that foot close to the bottom. Stretch the knee away from us so we get that nice lengthening across the front of the thigh. So we're aiming to find a long line from our knees to our hips to our shoulders. Just take a moment to get that shoulder to just glide down and away from us so we're not creating more tension through the neck as we do this. Release in there. Let's grab that cushion if we were using it last time, and we'll pop it underneath our head. And then we'll take that opening up like a book. Head rests down. Take a nice deep breath. Let the top arm gently open. Eyes are fixed on the hand. Breathe in as we allow the arm to return. Gently opens. One there. Bring ourselves round to a crouch position. Allow ourselves to rock gently forwards and back over the toes. And we're going to come up to standing in a way that works well for us. Pressing the heels into the ground, rolling up through the spine unless you've found a better way to come up for you. Top last thing of all, we take a deep breath when we get there, reaching really tall. Breathing out and we'll let it all go. Give it a good shake out. And give yourselves a round of applause. Well done, guys.